Come on, everybody! Let's go! Get ready for a summertime adventure from another Sommer-Time Story. This is the story of The Ant and the Grasshopper, written and told by award-winning author Carl Sommer.
"Why are you working so hard?" asked Gary, the leader of the grasshoppers. "There's plenty of time to get food. I'm putting a band together. Come and join us." "I'm working now, so we'll have lots of food for winter," explained Alex the ant. Quit worrying," said Gary. "You need to take some time off and have fun." What does Gary say to the ant, to Alex the ant? Juliet?
You should stop working and have some playtime.
Yeah, stop working so hard. Have some fun. Now, there is nothing wrong with having fun. Nothing wrong with that. But there's some people that all they think about is fun, 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 and they don't want to work. Now, that's no good. So we have to learn there's a time to have fun and there's time to work. And we see Gary here. Come on, just have fun. Forget about your work. Let's see what happens. Alex pulled out a weed and said, "If I don't get rid of these weeds, they'll crowd out the plants. We ants know that hard work in spring provides food for winter." "That's a sad way to live," said Gary, shaking his head. "It's a beautiful day. Why don't you relax and enjoy yourself?" "I'd love to join you," said Alex as he took the hoe to remove the weeds. "But my family is more important. I need to prepare for the coming winter. By the way, we do play, but only after our work is done." Gary says, quit worrying. You need to take some time off. What does Alex answer? Olivia?
We ants know that hard work provides food for the winter.
Yeah, we know that hard work now provides food for the winter. I gotta prepare for my family. My family is important. I gotta feed my children. "That's such a sad way to live," said Gary as he walked away. "All Alex thinks about is work, work, and more work. And then he plays a little in the evenings. I feel so sorry for him." What does Gary say? LaShawn?
That's such a sad way to live.
Yes, what a sad way to live. All you think about is work, work, work. And you know, sometimes boys and girls will make fun of you for working so hard. But remember, you got 2 ears. Some things should go down into your heart and some things should pass through. Don't listen to them. And you see some children that didn't listen. They didn't listen in school. And there's some kid. Let me tell you something, all right? This is very serious. I was a high school teacher. I also was a substitute teacher in 27 schools throughout New York City. I taught all grades, 1, 2, 3, all the way up to high school, to 12. All right? And there's some kids that come up, "You're not going to tell me what to do." They got the attitude. "You're not going to tell me that they don't want to listen to anybody." "Oh, you're not going to tell me." They got this attitude, you know. I have a business. One of my businesses, I have 3 businesses. This is my publishing company here, and my video studio, and I also have a machining company. We're the largest in North America, and we hire workers. You think I wouldn't want those kind of people working me? You're not going to tell me what to do? No! I want employees who will listen. If they don't listen, I don't want them. I don't want them to work for me. And not only me, but the thousands and thousands of other employees that don't want employers that don't want them kind of workers. So if you're smart, learn to listen. All right? Don't get that attitude. Nobody's going to tell me what to do. Well, you're going to suffer for it. And many boys and girls today are unemployed because no one wants to hire them. So you be smart. Learn to listen. Then Gary saw some grasshoppers resting. "We are putting a band together," he said. "Want to join us?" "Sure!" exclaimed the grasshoppers. News of the band spread quickly, and many grasshoppers joined them. When the band played, The grasshoppers danced. "This is great," said the grasshoppers. Then Gary laughed and said, "The foolish ants are missing all the fun by working all the time." "We need to do this more often," said Gary. "We're having so much fun." "Yes," shouted all the grasshoppers. "Why not tomorrow?" yelled someone. "Yes," they all screamed. The next day they came again. As news spread about how much fun they were having, more and more grasshoppers started bands. Every day the grasshoppers made music, danced, and had lots of fun. However, this year winter came early, and it was time to find food. The grasshoppers began complaining. "It's too cold and too hard to find food." "Why don't you ask the ants for help?" suggested Gary. "They have plenty of food." What came early this year? Jocelyn?
Winter came early.
Yes, winter came early, and now the grasshoppers had to go and find food. But they started to complain. What did they complain about? Isaiah?
Too hard and too cold to find food.
Yeah, it's too hard and too cold to find food. And they finally said, "You know what? We got an easy solution. We'll go and ask the ants." The grasshoppers left and went to the homes of the ants. When Gail met an ant outside a house, the ant said, "Come in." "It's very cold," said Gail, "and it's very hard to find food. Could you please give me and my family some food?" "You played and danced all summer while we worked," the ant explained. "If you were sick or weak, I would be glad to help, but it wouldn't be right to give you food when you can still find it for yourself." What did the ant say to Gail when she asked for food? All right, Olivia?
He said, "I'm sorry, but you can still find your own food."
Yeah, it's not right for me when you can still find your food. You know, we worked hard the whole summer. We planted, we worked, and you played. Now you want us to give us food, but you can still find it. It's a little hard work, but you have to go out and look for it yourself. Let's see what happens now. When the grasshoppers gathered the next day, Gary asked, "How did it go?" Gail stood up and said, "I went to an ant, and she wouldn't give me and my family any food." "That happened to me also," a grasshopper yelled. "Me too," cried another. Soon all the grasshoppers were complaining about how unfair and selfish the ants were. "It's not fair that the greedy, selfish ants won't share," shouted Gary. All the grasshoppers began to chant, "It's not fair! It's not fair!" Then Gary said, "There are more grasshoppers than ants. Why don't we vote and make it a law that those who have food must share?" "Yes!" shouted all the grasshoppers. The grasshoppers and the ants voted, and the law passed that stated, anyone who has food must share it with others. The grasshoppers danced for joy over the law. What did the grasshoppers say about the attitude of the ants? Andrew?
He said that it wasn't fair.
Yeah, it's not fair. It's not fair. Those selfish ants won't give us any of their food. It's not fair. So what did the grasshoppers say? Yes, Mercy?
There are more grasshoppers.
Yeah, there were more grasshoppers than ants. Let's have a vote. And what was the law that was passed? Emma?
That anybody who has food must share.
Yes, they made a law. Everyone who has food must share. Let's see what happens now. When the ants heard about the law, they were furious. They had to share food with the lazy grasshoppers. But in spite of their complaining, they had to obey the law. When spring came, Alex, the leader of the ants, called a meeting. "Why should we work so hard?" he asked. "The grasshoppers don't work, and they get food. Why don't we do the same?" "Yes!" shouted the ants. Now we know when the law was passed, the grasshoppers danced for joy. This is a great law. But what did the ants do? Juliet?
They were very mad.
The ants were furious. They were mad that those lazy grasshoppers, they don't work and we have to share our food with them. They were furious, and all of a sudden they said, hey! What did they say? All right, yes, Claire?
The grasshoppers, they don't work and they get food, so why don't we do the same?
Yeah, why don't we do the same? They don't work. They're lazy. And they're getting food. Why don't we do the same thing? Let's see what happens. The next day, the ants found the grasshoppers playing their fiddles and dancing. We'd love to join you, said Alex. Do you mind? We'd be happy for you to join us, said Gary. I'm so glad you finally learned to take some time off and have fun. While they were dancing, Gary walked over to Alex and asked, Are you having fun? This is great, exclaimed Alex. I never had so much fun in all my life. This is much, much better than working. However, when winter came, the grasshoppers and ants had little food. They went to other insects to buy something to eat. This went on year after year until they had no more money. One day, Gary called a meeting. I have some very bad news. We don't have any money left to buy food, and no insects will sell us food unless we pay for it. A grasshopper yelled out, Did you ask the beetles? I know they have lots of food. I've asked the leader of the beetles to help us, said Alex, but the greedy beetles won't share. It's not fair! It's not fair! Shouted the grasshoppers and the ants. How did the ants and the grasshoppers get food when they weren't working all the time? All right? Andrew?
They're going to have to buy it from other insects.
Yeah, they're going to buy it. But then what happens? They keep on spending and spending and spending, and then they're not working, so the money gets lower and lower and lower, and finally they don't have any money left. And what did the other insects do then when they were asked to go and we want to get some food from you? What did the other insects do? All right, LaShawn?
They wouldn't sell it to them unless they paid for it.
Yeah, we're not going to sell you food unless you pay for it. All right, no way we're going to do that. And then we say, well, what about the beetles? What about the beetles? They have lots of food. And what did they say? Emma?
The greedy beetles won't share.
Yeah, those greedy beetles, they won't share their food with us. It's the same argument they had before about the ants, those greedy ants. Well, they're lazy, they're not working. And they call them, you're greedy. No, they're lazy. You know what? Help someone who's lazy, anybody. I'm willing to help sick and needy people. I'm more than happy to help people like that. But you don't want to help someone who, and they're not working, they're lazy, they don't want to do anything. And they, hey, just give me money, money, money. No, you got to work, you know. And they went to say, hey, it's not fair, it's not fair, it's not fair. And they decided to do something. Let's see what they do. Let's put an army together and go to war against those selfish beetles so we can get some of their food, shouted Gary. We have many more grasshoppers and ants. We should easily win. Yes, shouted the grasshoppers and the ants. We can beat them. The grasshoppers and ants went to war against the beetles. Attack! Yelled Gary and Alex when they saw the beetles. But the beetles were much too strong. The leader of the beetles said to the ants and the grasshoppers, We don't want to be your rulers. You were once a very rich nation, but now you're poor. We want to help you. For us to help you, we're going to make you obey our law that says, we will help the sick and needy, but those who do not work will not eat. Oh, groaned the grasshoppers and ants. Now we all have to work. All right, as you can see, they were easily defeated. But the beetles were kind people. The leader was a kind man. And what did he say? All right, Mercy?
He said, we don't want to be your rulers. You were once a rich nation, but now you're poor.
Yeah, you were once a very rich nation. We want to help you. You were once a wealthy nation. You could support yourself, and now you're a poor nation. We want to help you. And he made a new law for them. What was that new law? Isaiah?
We will help the sick and needy, but those who do not work will not get any food.
What a sensible law. In other words, we're not going to help the lazy people. The sick and needy, we'd be glad to help them. But if you're lazy, too lazy to work, we're not going to help you. And what happens? Oh, they complain, now we have to work. When Gary left the meeting, he complained, now we won't be able to have any more fun. You know what, said Alex, that's the way we used to live. And we were a rich nation. We can still have fun. What we need to do is work first and then play. You're right, said Gary. The grasshoppers and ants went to work, and soon they had lots of food again. What did Alex the ant say? Emma?
We're once a rich nation, and we can still have fun, but first we need to work and then play.
Yeah, it's not so bad, the law. We were once a very rich nation. What we need to learn is to work first and then play. And if you boys and girls learn that lesson in life early, you'll be very smart. You'll never be sorry for it. Learn to do your work first and then have fun. I still play. I play with my children, just played. We just had 4th of July celebration. I was playing with my children in the pool. One of my sons has a pool. I was playing basketball with him in the pool. And I'm 84 years old and I'm playing yet. I like to play. Nothing wrong with that. But you got to learn to work first. When the beetles saw that the grasshoppers and ants were obeying the law, they had a meeting. We see you have learned to work first and then play, the beetle leader said. We want to make a peace treaty with you. Hooray! Shouted the grasshoppers and the ants. Then Gary walked up to the leader of the beetles and said, thank you for teaching us the importance of work. Yes, shouted all the grasshoppers and ants. Since that time, grasshoppers and ants have never forgotten to work first and then play.
And now, an award-winning song from Character Kids.